that we need to move quickly to take up the NDAA and pass it through the chamber. This morning, we're continuing to work with our Republican colleagues to strengthen the substitute with as many amendments from senators as possible. We're making really good progress, and so we'll give the Armed Services Committee more time this morning to review the text and come to a final agreement. But the Senate needs to move forward on this bill, and quickly. With so much bipartisan interest in getting NDAA done soon, I see no reason why we can't finish this legislation or come to an agreement to finish this bill quickly. I thank my colleagues from both sides of the aisle, especially our committee chairs. I thank them because they are propelling this important legislation forward. Now on Build Back Better. I want to return to a comment made recently by the other side that crystallizes the difference between how the two parties see today's challenges. A gold mine. A gold mine. Those three words were used by my colleague, the junior senator from Florida, when talking about Americans struggling with rising costs. A gold mine for them. If you want to know why Americans can get frustrated with Washington, look no further than the comments like the one from the gentleman from Florida. The Republicans, who voted for a giant tax break for millionaires and billionaires, don't have any solutions for working families, but they see political gold in exploiting their struggles. Families are still struggling to pull themselves out of a once-in-a-century economic crisis brought about by COVID. They want to pay less for things like groceries, health care, prescription drugs, and child care. They want us to find ways to make that happen, and that's just what Democrats are doing in Build Back Better. But unfortunately, Republicans appear more interested in politics than progress. It's simple. If we want to fight inflation, if we want to create more jobs, so many businesses are short of workers, and if we want to lower costs and make sure families have more money in their pockets, the best thing we can do is pass Build Back Better. 17 Nobel Prize-winning economists, and more from both sides of the political spectrum, have said that this bill will help relieve inflationary pressures over the long term. And this morning, an exclusive by Reuters confirmed that for all the Republicans howling at the moon about inflation, Build Back Better will not increase inflation. And here's what the leading economist at Moody's said, quote, "The bills do not add to inflation pressures as the policies help to lift long-term economic growth via stronger productivity and labor force growth, and thus take the edge off inflation. Stronger growth, less inflation." I'll say it again. If you want to fight inflation, if you want to lower costs and grow the economy, support Build Back Better. If you want to fight inflation, support Build Back Better. Build Back Better is going to help families save money by making child care more affordable. It's going to give parents a tax break so they can pay for diapers and groceries and gas. It's going to lower the cost of prescription drugs like insulin and cancer treatments. And it's going to put more Americans to work, help our economy grow in the long term. The American people want these things. Why won't a single Republican come out and vote for them? A single Republican. Why do Republicans seem so intent on opposing lowering the price of insulin or giving parents a middle-class tax break? Given the choice between helping families afford child care and leaving them to fend for themselves, Republicans are telling families you're on your own. Listen to the list of things I just mentioned. Middle-class tax breaks, lowering prescription drug costs, child care. These aren't handouts. These aren't luxury items. To so many families, they're daily essentials, and they're just the beginning of what the BBB would offer. While Democrats are fighting to pass legislation to lower costs, Republicans, who spent years under Donald Trump trying to repeal health care and give tax breaks to the ultra-rich, are opposing tax cuts to the middle class while rooting for prices to go up and up, a gold mine. Americans won't forget who in Washington is fighting for them and who is spending their time trying to exploit their hardships. Finally, Mr. President, the Kigali Amendment. Yesterday, the Senate received a message from the White House calling for us to approve a treaty amendment that will curb our country's use of dangerous hydrofluorocarbons, or HFCs. Commonly known as the Kigali Amendment, 120 countries have agreed to the amendment. Even China is on the list. We should join too. HFCs are dangerous greenhouse chemicals found in everyday appliances, from air conditioners to refrigerators. They're thousands of times more damaging to our atmosphere than carbon dioxide. We had made progress in eliminating these chemicals before the Trump administration characteristically, unfortunately, took us backwards. Phasing out these HFCs is very important and will go a long way in fighting climate change and protecting the environment for future generations. And it's supported by the business community, too, as it will open up companies to markets for HFC alternatives overseas, promoting investment, innovation, and greater economic activity. Approving this amendment will require 2/3 of the Senate. Reducing our country's use of HFCs has been a bipartisan priority in the past. In fact, last December, the Senate approved the first-ever agreement to phase down HFCs, a significant win for fighting the climate crisis. It should be a bipartisan priority right now. In the wake of the President's visit to Glasgow, approving this amendment, which much of the world already embraces, is essential for telling the world we are committed to fighting the climate crisis. If we want to lead the world on this issue, it must get done. Now, Madam President, I ask unanimous consent that the cloture vote on the motion to proceed to H.R. 4350 occur at a time to be determined by the Majority Leader, following consultation with the Republican leader.